Okay, in this video we're going to look at the shoulder stand and bailing from the shoulder stand. So maybe you've been practicing the shoulder stand on parallettes or boxes or between two chairs even, and we can call these stable surfaces. So the surface beneath you isn't moving, so you can just work on your confidence, positioning and strength in that realm without too much chaos. When we come to the rings, however, the rings love to move. They're amazing, they move. It causes a lot more instability and chaos to the body, but therefore we can adapt in a really lovely way. What I'm going to share today is first of all some steps towards overcoming the fear of engaging with the inversion or the shoulder stand on the rings, how to bail safely and practice that, and then begin your journey towards improving your shoulder stand. And also what's lovely is this bailing option then enters into the world of the forward roll in a really special way. That's in another video, but keep that in the back pocket. So, step number one, I want the rings to be above your belly button, somewhere beneath the shoulders and above the belly button. And we're going to first just get used to tumbling forwards, maintaining contact with the rings. So, I'll place them over a bit more to the side so you can see. And what I'll do here is I'll enter the center of the rings, holding them nice and strong. And already you start to notice how they rotate both ways, the same as the shoulder does. So all I'll do is I'll pass forward of the ring, I'll fold forwards on my feet, straighten my arms, and I'll try and bring my head towards my knees, and then I'll just push my hips to the sky, and roll forwards. A couple more times. Like a child. If you ever see a child at the park and there's something dangling for them, the first thing they'll do is they'll go, wow, and they'll go backwards, or they'll go forwards. Likely both. And it's a really lovely thing to reconnect with, because likely in your own life you've done this as well. So once you've got comfortable doing this and you feel like, oh, I can travel forward with my head and my chest through the rings, and the worst thing that's going to happen is I'll have a little tumble and I'll roll forwards, maintain connection, and land softly into the floor. Then you can start to raise the rings slightly higher. Okay, stage two, we want the rings to about shoulder height. So this way you can't roll forwards without lifting the feet already. And this is a very fun drill. So if you're in a narrow corridor, you want to make sure you're somewhere in the middle so that you don't go off towards one side and crash into something or somebody. The next thing, you want to stay nice and tight, so the centrifugal, the rotational force, stays into the center. If you have long limbs like myself flailing around, it causes a bit of chaos and there's unnecessary directions of force. So, all I'll do is I'll jump forwards, tuck into a nice ball, maintain a bit of tension into the rings, and come out nice and happy. Boop. Wow. Again, a bit slower. Notice what I did to make it slower. Initially, I jumped from behind the ring and I jumped in to this position. This means I'm taking the load in shoulder extension, and maybe it's a bit scary at first. So what I can do is preload by keeping my feet on the floor, getting into this position, and from here, then I can jump. What's lovely is that I'll find this lovely tuck position, I'll roll, find the horizon, and softly take the landing in my legs. Again, fantastic drill, super useful for the shoulder stand. What you need to do is slowly get used to jumping, or let's say at least rolling forwards, to learn to control that slight impact into the arm and the shoulder. When you do the shoulder stand, of course, you're going to have that pre-tension, but you'll need a certain awareness of that tension to feel safe and comfortable moving forwards. If you've never felt it before, and you directly go into the shoulder stand and then try and fall forwards, maybe it'll be a bit more scary. So, one more time to be clear, I'm going to jump forwards, catch myself in the roll, and have an awesome time. And roll. Lovely. So, the next stage, obviously, is to pop upside down and try and roll forward with the hips not below the rings, but up in line or above the rings. That's when we get into the inversion, where the hips are above the head and we have this lovely inverted upside down feeling. So in order to do this, first thing to be aware of is anything that you're hanging your rings from, you won't kick, okay? So what I'll do is I'll bring my rings back down towards my belly button height, because that's, for me, the sweet spot, below the anchor point if I'm using a bar, and above the ground so I don't hit my bum and my legs too hard when I roll forwards. Okay, now I have my rings at about belly button height. What I want to try and do now is come into my ring support, tuck into a nice tight ball, try to lean my head down and forwards and allow my hips to rise just above me slightly. My goal isn't to go into the shoulder stand. My goal is to find my small forward roll once again. I have my ring support, head goes down, hips come up. Lovely. I try again. Head goes down, hips come up. Super. What's important, what you're noting maybe from me already, is that when my head goes down, I'm resisting slightly in my arms to get my hips to rise. If I just have the support and I just drop my head, my hips will also drop with my body. What I have to have is some kind of seesaw where as my head goes down, my hips rise upwards. And therein lies the progression towards the shoulder stand. So once you've got comfortable bailing, rolling forwards, enjoying that feeling of going forwards, you know the worst thing that can happen is just simply popping forwards and landing on your feet. What you can then start to do is work with the resistance, this counter leverage, this lovely seesawing of the head and the shoulders going down, pushing into the rings to lift your hips. Something you've found if you've already practiced this on the parallettes, the box or the chairs on the stable surface. The lovely thing about the rings is actually, if you commit and you feel safe to do so, the balance is much easier, because rather than your hand and your shoulder having to do a lot of the work on the stable surface, on the rings, you simply have to hold them close to you and move the ring itself, and you'll disperse a lot of that energy, and therefore you can balance very simply. The key detail in the shoulder stand on the rings is maintain your body position. The less moving parts in the body, the better. The more moving parts in the body, the more chaos there may be, and the harder it is to disperse that chaos with the rings. So now we move on to the shoulder stand. We go with the tuck, so nice tight ball. We resist, the shoulders and the head go forwards, the hips rise, the legs tuck in nice and tight, and you really drive down and forwards into the ring to help to support yourself. I like to think about thumbs to the front of my shoulder here. It really helps me. So I have my support. I tuck up nice and tight. I'm already nice and high. I don't want to keep my legs low because it's further to go upside down. Tuck up nice and tight. I try and go head down to my knees. I chase, and I'm in my inversion. Thumbs towards my shoulders. I'm nice and tight. If I fall, no worries. That's the worst case that's going to happen. The higher you can place the rings without kicking something, the easier and nicer the bailing option will be, as you found out in the previous option. Once you have the understanding and the confidence to drive into the tuck shoulder stand, you can really start to engage and drive in further and further with these micro adjustments, and that's where the fun begins. From there, you can work with elongating the legs into a straight position, and again, you have no qualms, no worries, because all you can do is bail if you need to. That's it for the bailing and the shoulder stand. Don't forget, the forward motion is a lovely one. There's nothing problematic about it. Try and enjoy it and engage with that lovely progression towards the shoulder stand and other ring skills. Enjoy.